That fake news was pushed by Republican Mike Turner. He's chairman of the Intel Committee. And Congressman Andy Ogles is now calling on Speaker Mike Johnson to get to the bottom of why Congressman Turner caused such an international crisis in order to secure more funding for Ukraine. Well, let's welcome in the Tennessee Congressman, Andy Ogles. Congressman, always good to see you, sir. I'm close by. I can literally throw a rock and maybe find you at some point. We're both in Tennessee this morning.
That's right.
Tell us about the pandemonium that ensued after Chairman Turner released that cryptic statement about a Russian national security threat. Tell us more about the fallout since then.
Well, and the Ukraine funding is only half of the equation. The other part of that equation is trying to push through FISA without any reforms. And so, so what you have is these two large pieces of legislation. One funds Ukraine. By the way, you want to send $60 billion to Ukraine. That's larger than last year's budget for the United States Marines. Just keep that in mind for a minute.
Wow.
Last year's budget was like $58.3 billion. We're going to send another 60 to Ukraine. But pause there. We're going to defend their border instead of securing our own. So again, just the talking points on this are ridiculous. But to me, I think the more sinister part of this equation is FISA. So that's the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which again, I think we can all agree, keeping the bad guys out of our country, making sure another 9/11 doesn't happen is a good thing. But the problem with FISA is that it's been weaponized against American citizens. We know. I want to say that again. We know that American citizens have been spied on by our government because they're Republican, because they're Christian. Some of the agents have used FISA to spy on their own girlfriends. And so the loopholes in FISA are large enough that you could drive a truck through. By the way, we have a Fourth Amendment that protects your right to privacy. The police can't search you, investigate you without a warrant, but under FISA, they can. And so for me, this was about you can't leverage top secret information to try to force a vote in Congress. This was a breach, I think, of his trust. So I called on the Speaker to an open inquiry to make sure that this never, ever happens again. It should also be noted that the press release and the release of this cryptic information affected both domestic and international stock markets, and moreover, it scared the American people.
Yep.
Well, Congressman, President Trump came up with an idea for Ukraine funding that MAGA might get behind. It is a loan. Congressman, is that something that House conservatives could get behind?
Well, the devil's in the details. I mean, that's actually kind of a ploy that's used in Congress all the time, where equipment will be loaned to a company or to a country, rather. But essentially, there's no terms on it. And so everybody, wink, wink, knows that loan will ultimately be forgiven.
But Congressman, forgive me for interrupting, but don't you think that President Trump, if he loaned someone something, would probably call it when he was president?
Well, it would have to be Congress that does it. And so that's the problem, is you have some of these folks that are all in for Ukraine would write the loan. And I'm sure they find a dadgum loophole in there so they can just give it away. But again, that's the problem is, we're barreling towards 35, soon to be $36 trillion in debt. Every small town in America is a border town because of fentanyl. Every murder, rape, robbery, carjacking in this country is at the hands of Joe Biden for letting our country to be invaded. And so here's the thing. I've got to focus on America first, not America alone, but America first. And so our southern border is the priority, not Ukraine. Making sure that our government, I'll ask the three of you, do any of you trust the Biden administration? Do any of you trust the bureaucrats that are embedded in the FBI or any other alphabet agency? Oh, heck no. I know the answer to that question. So why would we allow FISA to go forward without reforms? The Judiciary Committee had 4 great amendments that would help fix FISA. The Intel Committee had a conniption fit. And then suddenly, 36 hours before the vote, there's magical nukes dangling from space that every soccer mom and Joe Plumber needed to know about. And again, it was a weaponization of information to try to force a vote.
Congressman, I appreciate you answering for me. I would replace the CK with 2 L's on your word there that you decided to use in terms of my trust, but that's a whole different thing. Let's get to what's happening today on Capitol Hill. James Biden, President Biden's brother, is going to be testifying before or behind a closed door panel there. And this is kind of a twofold question. What do you expect to come of that testimony? Beyond that, what are your expectations of the impeachment inquiry? Will there actually be an impeachment vote against President Biden in the U.S. House?
It will be interesting to see what his testimony is, and does he plead the fifth and kind of dodge and obfuscate. I mean, Biden officials in general have a great history now of, coming in with their dancing shoes. They put on their best Fred Astaire, and they dance around any answer. But that being said, it is closed door. He will be compelled, presumably, to answer those questions. Referring or regarding will there actually be an impeachment hearing on Biden? I don't know. That's tricky. I would say yes. But you're also getting closer and closer to the election cycle. And I think a lot of Republicans, I'm for it, offered articles of impeachment. But that being said, I think some Republicans are going to get squishy here at the end. So it'll be a close vote that would propel us forward on impeachment. But I think it's go time. I would impeach him tomorrow, or today for that matter.
Yeah, for sure. Congressman Ogles, always good to see